7 people die as fire breaks out at a COVID-19 facility in Andhra Pradesh's Vijayawada. The NDRF teams joined the local authorities in the relief and the rescue operations. Prime Minister Modi discusses the situation with Chief Minister Jagan Reddy, assures of all the possible help and support. Prime Minister Modi to launch the financing facility of 1 lakh crore rupees under the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund today. The Prime Minister will also release the 6th installment of funds worth 17,000 crore rupees under Prime Minister's Kisan scheme. Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Puri orders inquiry in the Kozhikode plane tragedy. The findings of the investigation to be made public. Clarifies that the issues red flagged by the DGCA were addressed and rectified at the Calicut airport. Announces interim relief of 10 lakh rupees for the kin of the deceased. "27 bodies retrieved from landslide site in Kerala's Idukki district. More than 40 people still believed to be trapped. The NDRF and the fire service personnel continue the search operations in the area. The victims are mostly tea estate workers and their kin. India's COVID-19 recovery rate continues to improve, crosses 68% mark with over 14.2 lakh recoveries. The case fatality rate declines to 2.04%. The centre directs the states to focus all the efforts on reducing mortality. The global COVID-19 cases cross 1 crore 98 lakh. And in sports news, the German champions Bayern Munich and Spanish favourites Barcelona march into the quarter-finals of the UEFA Champions League after respective wins over Chelsea and Napoli in the last round of 16. Hello and good morning. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli, and the big news that we're tracking at this hour in Andhra Pradesh: a fire has broken out at the hotel in Vijayawada, in which 7 people are believed to have lost their lives, while 30 others have been rescued. The fire, though, has been doused for now. The hotel was being used as a COVID-19 facility by a hospital. The COVID-19 patients were mildly symptomatic, and those who did not require hospitalization were staying there at the hotel. It is also being reported that when the fire accident happened, around 40 people were inside that centre. The reason for the fire is yet to be ascertained. And Prime Minister Modi has expressed anguish by the fire at a COVID centre in Vijayawada. In a tweet, he said, I quote, "My thoughts are with those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that the injured recover as soon as possible." Discussed the prevailing situation with the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Vijayawada Jaganji and assured of all the possible help and support. And the Chief Minister Jagan Reddy has expressed shock and grief over the fire mishap and inquired about the cause of the accident. In a tweet, he said, I quote, "Directed the concerned officials to take up the rescue measures and admit the injured in nearby hospitals. Also instructed officials to conduct an inquiry into the accident." The fire occurred in the hotel that was taken on lease by being run by a private hospital to treat the COVID-19 patients. And let's now get in more updates on that tragedy that's taken place in Andhra Pradesh. Our correspondent Vidya is now joining us. Vidya, what more can you share with us as far as the situation that is concerned? We understand that the fire, though fauna, has been brought under control, but the condition of those who have injured.
About 5 o'clock in this morning, the hotel Swachhta Palace had caught the fire, and the reason is to be investigated, and it is suspected that it is a short circuit. So around 5 o'clock the fire has been broken down, and at that time about 30 patients and 10 of the hospital staff are there inside the hospital, and of them 7 were found dead, and about 4 people have been jumped up from the top floors onto the road, and of course they are rescued and there is no casualty for them. And this hospital has been taken over as the COVID care center. for a private hospital in Vijayawada, and it is being maintained by the same hospital itself. And the fire is being under control now, but the smoke has been covered the hotel totally, and the other people who are inside have been rescued through the ladders by the fire department, and they are being taken to the nearby hospitals using the ambulances.
Okay, and what about the entire building? Vidya, has the entire building been evacuated, or is that the operation, the relief and the rescue operation still underway?
So almost the patients are all completely evacuated and sent to the nearby hospital, a metropolitan hotel and nearby hospital, Ramesh Hospital and all. They are being sent over. And other rescue operations is going on. And they are finding out if there are any other people inside the building, and almost it is being evacuated.
Okay, and what's the number that we're looking at, Vidya, just for confirmation? What's the number that the number of people that were staying there, as as far as this being turned into a COVID-19 facility there? What's the number of people that were inside?
So 30 patients were there inside the hotel actually, and 7 of them were found dead, and 2 casualties are being found. It is because of the fire accident, and they are taken to the nearby hospital for further doctoral care.
Okay, and the condition of those injured, Vidya?
So they are taken to the hospital at present. They are under doctor care.
Okay, all right. All right, Vidya, thanks for joining us and sharing those inputs there on the tragedy that's taken place there in Andhra Pradesh at a hotel, which was in fact a COVID-19 facility. There were patients were there who had mild symptoms, and of course they were inside that hotel that was had been taken on lease by a private hospital, and that had turned into a COVID-19 facility there in Vijayawada, and that had caught fire early in the morning today, and we are given to understand that people there have lost their lives, and in fact the rescue and relief operation had just gotten over, though the fire has now been brought under control. We wish a speedy recovery to those injured there, and of course condolences to those who have lost their lives. Moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the nation on the occasion of Balam Jayanti. In a tweet he said, I quote, "Greetings to the countrymen, especially farmers, on the occasion of Balam Jayanti, Halchat and Dau birth anniversary. On this special day, I will launch a funding facility of 1 lakh crore rupees under the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund at 11 this morning through video conferencing," unquote. And Prime Minister Modi will also be releasing the 6th installment of funds of 17,000 crore rupees to 8.5 crore farmers under the Prime Minister's Kisan scheme. The Union Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Narendra Singh Tomar, besides lakhs of farmers, cooperatives and citizens across the country, will attend the event. The central sector scheme of financing facility approved by the Union Cabinet will catalyze the creation of the post-harvest management infrastructure and the community farming assets such as cold storage, collection centers and the processing units. These assets will enable farmers to get greater value for their produce, as they will be able to store and sell at higher prices, reduce the wastage and increase the processing and value addition. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana scheme, launched on the 1st of December 2018, has provided a direct cash benefit of over 75,000 crore rupees to over 9.9 crore farmers. The scheme has been instrumental in supporting farmers during the COVID-19 pandemic through the release of nearly 22,000 crore rupees to aid the farmers during the lockdown period. Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday launched the Gandagi Mukt Bharat, a special week-long campaign for Swachhta in the run-up to the Independence Day. Every day for a week till the 15th of August, special Swachhta initiatives will be organized in urban and rural India to reinforce the Jan Andolan for Swachhta. On the occasion, Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated the Rashtriya Swachhta Kendra, an interactive experience center on the Swachh Bharat mission at the Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti at Rajghat in the national capital. Dedicating the centre as a permanent tribute to Mahatma Gandhi, he lauded the countrymen for making Swachhta a Jan Andolan while urging them to continue to do so in the future. The Swachh Bharat mission has transformed the rural sanitation in India and has changed the behaviours of over 55 crore people from open defecation to using a toilet. India has received high praise from the international community for this. The mission is now in its second phase, aiming to take India's villages from open defecation free to ODF plus, with a strong focus on sustaining the ODF status and ensuring solid and liquid waste management for all.
देश में एक सप्ताह लंबा अभियान चलाए, स्वराज के सम्मान का सप्ताह यानी गंदगी भारत छोड़ो सप्ताह। मेरा हर जिले के जिम्मेदार अफसरों से आग्रह है, इस सप्ताह में अपने अपने जिलों के सभी गांवों में कम्युनिटी टॉयलेट्स बनाने पर, उनकी मरम्मत पर विशेष बल दे, उसको अभियान चलाएं। जहां दूसरे राज्यों से श्रमिक साथी रह रहे हैं, उन जगहों पर प्राथमिकता के आधार पर ये काम हो। इसी तरह गंदगी से कंपोस्ट बनाने का काम हो, गोबर धन हो, वाटर रिसाइकलिंग हो, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक से मुक्ति हो, इसके लिए हमें मिलकर के आगे बढ़ना है।
Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Puri has called for refraining from speculative observations about the accident involving an Air India Express in Kozhikode Friday night, and that issues red flagged by the DGCA were addressed and rectified. In a series of tweets, the minister has said, I quote, I will encourage all to exercise patience and refrain from making speculative observations bordering on the irresponsible. Most importantly, as in the case of Kozhikode accident, an inquiry has been ordered under the Aircraft Act and the black boxes of the flight have been recovered. The findings of this investigation will be made public, unquote. The minister also had a word of advice for the opposition MPs and insisted that the plane involved in the crash was not a wide-body aircraft. He said, I quote, I would like to remind my colleagues that the aircraft involved in the incident at Kozhikode was a B737-800, which is not a wide-body aircraft. As far as the wide-body aircraft are concerned, the DGCA had carried out a thorough assessment and prescribed comprehensive mitigation measures, unquote. With respect to the ex gratia, the minister said, I quote again, all Air India aircraft are properly insured. Discussions will be held with the passengers and their families at an appropriate juncture in line with the Montreal Convention. Presently, we are working to extending all the possible support of families of deceased and help the injured passengers. We have announced an interim relief of 10 lakh rupees to the families of those who have lost their lives in Kozhikode air accident, 2 lakh rupees to the seriously injured and 50,000 rupees to people with minor injuries, unquote. Meanwhile, the last rites of the first officer Akhilesh Kumar, who was killed in Friday's crash, will be held in his hometown Mathura today. The mortal remains of co-pilot Akhilesh Kumar, who lost his life in the flight crash landing incident at Kozhikode, first arrived at the Delhi airport. The Air India Express employees paid tributes to him. Later, his mortal remains were taken to his native place in Mathura in Uttar Pradesh. A massive search operation using man and machine is still underway to find the 50-odd people reported missing after a landslide in Kerala's Idukki district. 27 bodies have been retrieved so far from the debris at the landslide spot at Rajamala near Munnar in Idukki district. The Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said that besides 2 teams of the NDRF, police and the fire service personnel are also engaged in the operations. Meanwhile, with the rains intensifying in several parts of Kerala, over 11,400 people belonging to 3,530 families have been shifted to various flood relief camps as a precautionary measure. The maximum number are in the hilly district of Vernar, where nearly 3,800 persons are accommodated in 69 relief camps. The Periyar River swelled up due to heavy downpour from the past couple of days. The inundation is such that a Shiva temple located in the Aluva has fully submerged in water due to torrential rains. The Chief Minister has said that the water level in the Mullaperia Dam is fast rising as its catchment areas are receiving abundant rains. The state government has requested Tamil Nadu to release the water into Vaigai River once the water level in the reservoir touched 136 feet. The Chief Minister has urged the public to remain vigilant in view of the Met Department issuing red and orange alerts in several districts valid for the next couple of days. The Met Department has predicted scattered heavy to very heavy rain with isolated extremely heavy falls very likely to continue over Kerala. And in Karnataka, the swollen rivers and the flood-like situation continue to threaten lives and property in several parts. Though there has been a respite from the rain in some parts, the rivers continue to flow above the danger mark, inundating the low-lying areas in several parts of Malnad, coastal and interior Karnataka. There are also reports of continued landslides in the hilly areas of Kodagu and Chikmagaluru. As many as 70 relief camps are active across the state so far, where 1,292 people are taking shelter. The NDRF and the local authorities are carrying out relief and rescue work. The state government has released 50 crore rupees for emergency relief and has announced 10,000 rupees as immediate relief each to the affected families. Meanwhile, a red alert has been issued for 5 districts: Shivmoga, Kodagu, Chikmagalur, Udupi and Dakshin Kannada till this morning, where very heavy or extremely heavy rainfall is likely to occur at places. The Met Department has also predicted isolated heavy to very heavy falls very likely over coastal and south interior Karnataka and Tamil Nadu during the next 2 to 3 days. Isolated extremely heavy falls are also likely over south interior and coastal Karnataka and the Ghat sections of Tamil Nadu during the next 24 hours. In Assam, the flood waters continue to recede, improving the situation considerably, with people returning to their homes. Lives have started returning back to normal as the number of districts affected by the flood stands at 6 out of 33 districts. The affected districts are Dhemaji, Baksa, Chirang, Kokrajhar, Kamrip and Morigaon. However, the administration is working hard to resettle the flood-affected people whose houses may have been damaged or washed away by the devastating flood and erosion. Most of the houses are full of mud, with the flood water receding, while the drinking water is a big issue as lives returning back to normal. The SDRF, the NDRF along with the civic bodies are distributing the relief material including sanitizers, phenyl, bleaching powder as the water dries, leaving behind the mud and dirt. As per reports, the Brahmaputra river is flowing above the danger mark at Nimati Ghat in Jorhat. The present population affected by the floods is less than 13,000, while 201 inmates are still taking shelter in the 2 relief camps. In Bihar, the swollen rivers originating in Nepal and flowing through the north part of the state continue to wreak havoc when more areas and inhabitants were hit by the floods, raising the number of people affected by the calamity to over 73 lakh. The total number of people evacuated from the worst affected areas is around 5 lakh so far. Altogether, 16 districts of the state have been reeling under floods caused by the rivers like Kosi, Bagmati, Kare, Kamla, Balan, Gandak and Budi Gandak. Darbhanga has been the worst hit, with over 20 lakh of its residents affected. The relief and rescue operations are in full swing, with 23 NDRF teams besides 10 of the SDRF involved in the efforts. And the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar conducted an aerial survey of the flood-affected northern part of the state. The areas included Samastipur, Begusarai, Khagadia, Bhagalpur, Saharsa, Katihar, Purnia, Araria and Kishanganj. These areas are affected due to the rising water levels of several rivers including Budi Gandak, Kosi and Bagmati besides others. The Chief Minister directed the officials to speed up the relief measures as well as strengthen the testing capacity. He also instructed officials to keep a check on the water level at the dams. And shifting focus now to the COVID-19 updates, and in the last 1 month, the COVID-19 recovery rate has shot up from 48.2% to 68.32%. In a tweet, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has said, I quote, "The effective clinical management based on a standard of care approach has led to more patients recovering and lesser fatality." COVID-19 testing in India has increased exponentially, a new high of 7 lakh tests done in the last 24 hours. And as per the latest figures by the Health Ministry, the COVID-19 tally has risen to 21,53,011, including 6,28,747 active cases. And the 14,80,885 have been cured and 43,379 deaths have also been reported. And news now from Jammu and Kashmir, where in yet another incident of ceasefire violation, Pakistan Army troops resorted to unprovoked and indiscriminate firing targeting the Indian forward posts and civilian areas along the line of control in the border district of Poonch this morning. The defense spokesperson has told Doordarshan News that at about 6:45 this morning, the Pakistani troops started firing with small arms, followed by heavy mortar shelling along the LOC in the Mankot sector of Poonch district. The alert Indian Army troop guarding the fence are retaliating befittingly with equal caliber. One civilian was killed during the firing. The exchange of firing was going on till reports last came in. And an encounter is also underway at the Siganpur area in Kulgam. The joint operation was launched in the wee hours today on the information of specific imports. Cordon was laid and contact established, leading to firefight. The joint operation is still in progress. The Enforcement Directorate has issued a summon to Rhea Chakrabarti once again in connection with the Sushant Singh Rajput case. She's been asked to appear before the investigating agency tomorrow. Rhea's brother Shaumik Chakrabarti was questioned by the ED for nearly 18 hours before he left the ED office early today morning. And that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. But in a short while from now, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh will make an important announcement. Stay tuned for all the updates with Doordarshan News. Thanks for being with us for the moment.